Donald, Donald, your 3 minutes is just beginning when you are ready. Does Donald need to be unmuted?
1 second here. Sorry, I'm trying to do.
No, you have a million things going on. Don't apologize.
Hi, Mr. Moore.
Okay. Hello?
Hi.
Yes, if you hear me, thank you very much. Wasn't provided any Zoom or anything, only this telephone call. So members of the Board of Trustees, Chancellor Stoneback Stroud, members of the audience, if there are any, and members of the public. And I pay particular attention to those within the community or those outside of the community, including the Board of Governors, the State Chancellor, or anybody possibly from the Accrediting Commission who might be viewing this. Let me make my comments brief. Since October, we have been concerned with leadership that has done the opposite of bringing us together. It has, in essence, ripped us apart. I'm not here today to point fingers or to make difficult situations worse. However, what I tell you is that our community has a rich history rooted in students, fueled by the power of our unions with a deep understanding of love and justice. Our students come first, always. It is important that our next leader doesn't divide us, silos us, or silences us. We want someone who takes the time to get to know the faculty, the classified professionals, and the administrators, and most especially our students. Our next leader should spend the next few months visiting the campuses and meeting with the constituents and to comprehend the relationship that has developed between the college and their presidents. With that knowledge, working with and through shared governance, our next leader will be committed to collaboration and approaching our institutions, not with a top down, but with an outstretched hand. While we don't agree, we hope our next leader will be open, when we don't agree, we hope that our next leader will be open for discussion and transparent with the communication in a way that brings us together and doesn't blame or divide. We are all rooted in a genuine belief that we want all students and the community to succeed, recognizing that there are multiple pathways for leadership from students, faculty, classified professional administrators at the colleges and at the district. Our progress will be a tapestry of our efforts and our collective talent. For all who are watching today, we want you to know that we believe change is possible. Our level of commitment and our care for our students and the capacity for change at this district is not reflected in the letter that was sent out on Thursday. In the spirit of shared governance, we hope that you will not let others speak for us or tell us what our experience has been like. In the words of in the words of John Lewis, who passed away yesterday, when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to speak up. You have to say something. You have to do something. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I believe the next speaker is Mr. John Holmes. So I will go ahead and unmute him.
Hello, I'm John Holmes. I teach history at Merritt College. I'm also a member of the, a representative of part-timers on the Peralta Federation of Teachers Executive Board. And I don't want to go into personnel issues. I want to just say a few words about what we need to do this fall at Peralta. And one thing that we need to understand, and I don't think there's been sufficient recognition of, is that the Peralta has been given a golden opportunity to help resolve its issues due to the fact we now have a budget in balance. We're in a situation right now, we need to respond to the needs of not just the instructors, certainly, but of the parents, the students, and the whole community. And right now, there's a crying need for more courses because given the huge recession that is taking place, there's an absolutely huge number of people who want to take classes at Peralta. And they can only do so if they're being offered. I can say from personal experience, I teach history at Merritt. A year ago, I was offered the History 7B course, and not a single student signed up for it. So, of course, it was canceled. I was offered it again, and immediately 40 students signed up. And I immediately reached the class maximum. And I don't think that's just my personal experience. I remember from Dr. Siri Brown's statement that this summer our productivity had greatly increased. And the issue that FICMAC raised of too many instructors for too few students has now been resolved. We're in the opposite situation with not enough instructors for students who are knocking at the door of Peralta. And if the biggest problem of Peralta is the fact of declining admissions, we now have a golden opportunity to reverse that, but only if we take advantage of the fact that we have the money to do so by offering the classes that the students want, and which is very easy to determine. You just need to look at which are the classes and which are the areas in which the caps were reached with students knocking down the doors to take classes at Peralta, which is certainly going to be happening again this fall and in the spring. And I listened to the budget reports last week, and there didn't seem to be much awareness of this. So that is what I want to say, not just for the benefit, well, of course it would benefit the part-time instructors, but primarily for the benefit of what is the mission of Peralta. The mission of Peralta is to provide educational opportunities for the people, for the community, for the students in a community which is precisely because we have so many poor and non-white people. This is a community in which, given the high level of joblessness, there's a huge number of people who don't have a lot of money who want to take inexpensive courses. So I believe we need, whatever decisions you make, the first decision you should be making over the next few weeks is to expand the course offerings.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes.
And I'm done. And thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mr. Holmes. Our next speaker is Janelle Tillotson.
Madam Vice President, she decided not to remove herself actually from public comment list. So we'll go to the next one.
Our next speaker then is Eleni Gastis.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Eleni Gastis, and I'm the Laney Faculty Senate President. During my first months as a full-time faculty member, as I returned to Laney, where I was once myself a student, I was inspired and struck by the faculty leadership that I observed. I joined the Senate almost immediately, where I've been serving since 2015. I have now been Senate President since July 1st, and I have brought the same excitement with me, rooted in an understanding of process and AB 7125. In my little over 2 weeks as Senate President, I have spent most of my time advocating for administrative procedures to be followed for our Laney President search, which I was very disappointed to find out that they had not been. A group of Laney community members have been working since our beloved president, Tamil Gilkerson, left to imagine and articulate the values we want in our next leader so that these values can be built into the job description. As per AP 7122, I was supposed to have that job announcement for 5 days in order to give the district feedback we had diligently been working on. I never received that job announcement. I asked 3 times with respect and care for our search to please be extended past the July 29th deadline. As you all know, we're now in the middle of a pandemic. Advertising did not follow the AP processes outlined either. We were told at Laney that our process should go on and whoever could participate in this rushed summer process should. There were other violations of this hiring AP that I pointed out that worried me. I have witnessed other violations of AP 7122 in the last couple months. Trustees, I urge you to consider an important quality in our next chancellor, a strong willingness to collaborate and consult with those who, like me, are rooted in this institution, are rooted in this district. We must follow our processes and not just give the appearance of collaboration. And we want our next chancellor to build trust with our community and most of all, our students. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eleni. Our next speaker is William Lepowsky. William Lepowsky?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. My name is William Lepowsky. I've been a math instructor at Laney for 51 years, since 1969. I've been department chair, I've written a textbook, and I've hosted workshops on workplace bullying, co-presenting with trustee Linda Handy. I was the driving force in getting Peralta to adopt its board policy on civility and mutual respect in 2004. A faculty member recently objected to procedures used by management regarding the budget. Management's reply shocked me because it launched into an ad hominem attacks against the instructor. In early 2017, the great American John Lewis criticized procedural issues around Trump's election, namely Russian interference, and Trump replied with ad hominem attacks. Someone responded to Trump, "When you attack anyone who doubts or criticizes you, you make the political scene personal. That's not how you president," unquote. The same applies in Peralta. On another issue, for 15 years or so, I've been sending to everyone in Peralta one-page academic calendars using dates provided by the district. So many throughout our district rely on them, writing things like, quote, "I salute you, Bill, for the calendars that have kept me sane for decades," and, quote, "Probably the most widely used document on the cover of students' binders is Mr. Lepowsky's calendars," unquote. The chancellor said they are, quote, "useful tools." But after the district took away the listservs, my calendars had to be routed through the announcement system. I've wasted dozens of hours trying to get management to send out my calendars, dozens of hours, which they finally did after fighting me every step of the way. If that's how they mistreat me, and I've been serving Peralta students for 51 years, where something as obviously helpful as providing these calendars to everyone, I can only imagine how others are mistreated. In fact, 41 Peralta employees just signed a letter to the board stating that the announcement system is creating both confusion and ill will by communicating mixed messages that seem to imply standards that are both arbitrary and capricious. There are slow and obstructive responses followed by inexplicable and unexplained abrupt reversals for no apparent reason. After George Floyd was murdered, management refused to send out a letter of solidarity from Laney's Ethnic Studies Department as a standalone announcement. 4 hours later, management did an abrupt 180 and sent it out. There have been no clear explanations of the procedures. The district says the system is only for, quote, "official messages," but when specifically asked to define the term official, management specifically, explicitly refused to do so. It appears to be used arbitrarily and based on whim. Regarding my calendars, management asserted false and misleading alternative facts about those calendars, apparently without having done any research at all, and falsely claimed that they had not been vetted by the district, even though they had been. We don't deserve to be treated in this way by management. That's it.
Thank you, William. Madam Board Clerk, let's go back to some of the speakers from previous who have to restate their comments. Let's go back to Michelle Snider if she's in the room.
She is.
Okay.
And she should be able to mute herself, but I'll go ahead and unmute her.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Michelle Snider. I am a Laney student, recently hired as associate editor for the Post News Group. So I am one of your successful journalism students. I'm very proud of being a Peralta student. I have been, it's life-changing, let me tell you. So this whole chancellor thing has been heartbreaking to hear about, especially for the last 3 years going through, I think it was 3 chancellors now, and we've been covering it from going from the Laney Tower to the Citizen our articles were actually being posted on the list server because there doesn't seem to be any other way of, communicating to everybody and submitting stuff. One thing I wanted to note again was that when we were going through the hiring process of these chancellors, we had asked Stroud what you would do if you would support students who were possibly being bullied by one of the staff, as we had a situation, and it was on the list server, but we never wanted to get rid of it, where somebody was attacking us for an article. And we're saying, if we were ethically just trying to do what we're learning to do, would you support us? Would you be able to mediate that? And I have it on video, replied in a way where it was like, we probably deserved whatever we had. And then she went into a story about her experience at Skyline, where they had like this somewhat racist article where they were comparing Black students as pimps. And, I had been a bit offended by that because I was like, are you saying we would do that, or we just automatically are going to be in the wrong? And my reasoning for saying this is that a chancellor, to me, is the leadership that should be, really listening to all of us and taking in the big picture of things. We aren't always right, we aren't always wrong, and we really need that kind of a mediation in the middle, somebody who could see the big picture. And I also saw it as, it's almost like a lost opportunity to not even have our political science students understanding who the chancellor is and how Peralta has a diplomacy here, a democracy of our own. I think that all our students should know about our district and how it is run and our chancellor, and it would be great if we had a chancellor that actually reached out to us every now and then, because I did not see that the entire time. And I also wanted to point out that maybe if the FICMAC people and Chancellor Eroy can possibly give you guys enough time to make a proper decision on a chancellor, because I felt like the decision last time was rushed. And I believe that was my comments from last time. So I hope that that is helpful, and I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Let's go to Cynthia Adams, then Cheryl Ward, if they are in the room.
I don't see Cynthia Adams, but I do have Cheryl Ward.
Okay.
Here.
Yes, I read a letter I've written to the Board of Trustees, and it reads, "Dear Trustees, I was deeply saddened to learn of the recent resignation of Dr. Regina Stanback Stroud as Chancellor of the Peralta Community College District. It was even further disconcerting to hear of her being unable to carry out her responsibilities, one reason being the ongoing dissension among the Board of Trustees. As a member of the clergy and having served in various community leadership roles, I understand the challenges of trying to carry out the core purpose and agenda of a community, while those who are committed to do the same are caught up in disagreements and personality struggles. As a community member, I also understand the inner working of groups who are unable to move beyond such issues and focus on the unified goal at hand. This is not Peralta Trustees' first rodeo. There must come a time when the board begins to see themselves as the common denominator in a problem that continues to arise, in spite of the individual who serves as Chief Executive Officer of the district. Dr. Stanback Stroud is an asset to Peralta Community College District and an award-winning administrator who has a proven track record that should have been welcomed and supported to move the district through the FICMAT recommendations, as well as with increasing enrollment, especially in the midst of the urgent external racial issues facing the underserved, underrepresented communities of color that make up the greater portion of the Peralta student body. Members of the Board of Trustees, your house is on fire. At this juncture, in order to prevent additional asphyxiation and destruction, caused by structural and systemic racism in the district, you have to face it to fix it. It is imperative that you replicate the actions of the Compton Community College District and negotiate a way to retain Dr. Stanback Stroud as CEO, who reports to a state trustee. It is an immediate inside-out approach to resolving this ongoing issue. It is not expedient to have to pay out her 3-year contract, begin yet another nationwide search for a replacement, then start all over again. It is past time to set your internal differences aside, unite, then work with Dr. Stanback Stroud to move things forward. Please take these recommendations into careful consideration and work together on behalf of the students and community of Peralta Community College District. Sincerely, Reverend Cheryl Denise Ward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ward. Let us go to Anita Black, if she is in the room.
Chancellor, can you hear me now?
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
we can.
As I stated before, which I'm probably going to say a little bit different now, but I'm concerned about some of those bullet points that was outlined in Chancellor Stanback Stroud's letter, and given the experience in the years I put in this district, having an individual with her background and experience, not only coming up the rank and file of faculty and then on to administration, but also to serve in academic senate and state academic senate and then becoming an administrator. I don't know what else we can be looking for if we're looking for a chancellor. Clearly, there is a problem, and having to dialed into certain board meetings, I have seen the lack of disrespect as exhibited by certain board members that are currently holding the positions, and it would seem like that there'd be some conciliation on both sides, not only from her but from the trustees themselves, in trying to get us through this path that we're in with the state and the probation status that all 4 of our colleges are on. But my main point that I tried to make the last time is that I'm concerned about the hostility, the disrespect, and the contempt shown for the leadership, especially for African Americans, and especially for females. That is intolerable, and I just don't get it. I really don't get it. The other thing that I have observed as well is that it seems that the role of the academic senate versus our collective bargaining agent is one and the same, and it should not be. The legislation 1725 gave the legal standing for academic senate, although I do recognize and I concur that there should be input from all sectors of the colleges. The legal standing in terms of a voice at the table is the academic senate, but it appears that our academic senate is not quite there yet. So my recommendation is that even if Regina does not continue on, the Board of Trustees should spearhead some type of training for key leadership in this district on the actual roles of participatory shared governance and how that should happen, how that input should happen. The collective bargaining unit should not be talking academic senate, and the academic senate should not be talking collective bargaining. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Miriam Zamora-Kantor.
Thank you. Hello?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much. Is it still good morning or good afternoon? My name is Miriam Zamora-Kantor. I am a full-time faculty, a past student, a community member, a proud member of the union, the Peralta Federation of Teachers, And I totally support my Senate, and I disagree with the comment that the Senate and the union should not work together. We are faculty with a common goal for the quality of education for our students and the quality for our whole district. I see our union as one of the spokes in the wheel of education at Peralta, just as the Senate is. We could not, any of us, do it without the classified staff, the administration, or you, the board. I'd like the joint letter that was written or sent yesterday, and I agree about us working in dedication and compassion, and that we're strong. I feel like that is so important for people to remember, that we are all together working for the same common goal, which is the quality of education for our students. I read the newspaper article in which the chancellor lashed out at you, the board, and I do not agree with much of the criticism. A lot of it I don't know anything about, so I can't comment. But what I do know is that we are all working together for a common goal. We are on the same team. We are focused on the welfare of our students. I have never ever felt that the union was against the board or administration. We may see things differently, but we have a common interest. And when we've had contract negotiations, we use interest-based bargaining with the understanding that our common goal is what's best for the students and the quality of teaching. My only criticism of you, the board, was of selecting a chancellor with an attitude of my way or the highway. I ask you to please don't ever pick a my way or the highway type of person again. Communication is so important, and working together is so important. I also ask you to restore FAS, faculty, administration, staff, communication. It is paramount that we be able to communicate with each other. It is as a team, the faculty, the administration, the students, that we are the strongest. I want to thank each of you for being a board member and for the work that you're doing. And my hat's off to Donald Moore and the comments he made, to Eleni, to several of my previous colleagues, esteemed colleagues, because I think that we all do have the common goal of what is best for the student, and we have different points of view, but we need to communicate with each other. And I respect the role of the board and of the administration, and each of you who's listening as a community member or whatever constituency we represent, because I think we need to come together. Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Our next speaker is Lawrence Vanhook.
Testing 1, 2. Can you hear?
Yes.
Thank you so much to the Board of Trustees and to those of you who are listening. Lawrence Vanhook, adjunct professor, also current president for the African American Association in Affairs, PAW. Definitely stuffed with words of concern around the Chancellor's letter of resignation. I have so many things I want to say, so if I get my points out, even if I don't have enough time to say them, at least we definitely need to work on, from the board's perspective, and I'm going to get in the weeds of who's right here, but on 4/20, we did send a letter of support for the Chancellor. Neither that be here nor there. What we outlined in our letter now has come to the position of looking at what she placed in her letter of resignation around anti-blackness and racism as being some of the charges along with others. So I'm really concerned about making sure that the board looks at that as we move forward. Secondly, just what's common. We are in a pandemic. And if we get caught in the weeds and not focus on the students and the stability of the students, and especially the underserved students in the African American community, which I'm definitely concerned about, making sure that they get Wi-Fi, making sure that they get enrolled for their classes, making sure that we have computers, some kind of device other than cell phones to do homework on, a tablet or something. We are really going to find ourselves in a backwards position as a district. So the stability is so very important. And as a board right now who's got the responsibility of 3 major vacant positions, a president and now a chancellor, we must take a look at where do we go from here and how do we go there, but also address those issues of concern around the letter, the resolution, and just some of the concerns in the district. And we must face that there is some issues, underlying issues of racism. No one actually asked for an official letter of the faculty who literally came against the chancellor in the public. And I appreciate the PAW members who spoke out against that, but that must still be addressed, and we can't whitewash it as though it did not happen. PFT have said some things that was in that favor, but that should have been an open rebuke for somebody who would be representing them that make those kind of comments. It is so very important. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Kimberly King.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can. Hi, Kimberly.
Okay, hi. Hi, I'm Kimberly King, instructor in psychology and ethnic studies, vice president of the Peralta Federation of Teachers, and an organizer with the Laney Poor People's Campaign. Today, I want to speak about the importance of democracy, collaboration, and dedication to public education that serves the need of the community. I speak as a part of a diverse group of faculty who are committed to teaching and to the importance of shared governance and collective bargaining as part of what makes public higher education potentially one of the most democratic and liberating institutions in our country. But it is only democratic if policies and laws mandating collaboration are followed. We can look to the civil rights movement for that lesson. Even though the 15th Amendment gave Black men the right to vote in 1870, it wasn't until the 60s civil rights movement and the Voting Rights Act that Blacks in the South were allowed to vote. Policies don't mean anything unless they're actually applied. Civil rights hero John Lewis died yesterday, a strong, courageous fighter for democracy and voting rights. In the Black community, we have a strong tradition of valuing democracy. Our ancestors, including Congressman Lewis, were beaten, spit upon, and murdered defending democracy. In the future, I look forward to working with the board and with all administrators in a way that shows firm commitment to democracy and input from the students and from the dedicated members of the Peralta staff and faculty who have committed ourselves to serving students from some of the most disadvantaged communities in Oakland and the Bay Area. I want to speak in appreciation of a very positive collaboration between faculty, students, staff, community members, the chancellor, and the board to show that Peralta is an anti-racist, pro-social justice institution. They recently decided to defund the sheriffs from the Peralta district and implement a community-oriented public safety plan. They stood up to be part of the movement for Black lives and against racism and violence. We have been in communication with Chancellor Stroud and with Vice Chancellor Sata and with the trustees, and we're all working together. I want to thank the board, the chancellor, the Vice Chancellor Sata, as well as the student government leaders, faculty, staff, and community members who worked on this important decision for the true health and safety of our diverse students. And since these comments don't allow us to be seen, I want to share that I am an African-American woman. Our district Senate president is African-American, and there's many diverse faculty, contrary to statements that have been made suggesting that all faculty are white, divisive statements that render faculty of color invisible. And I just look forward to working collaborative collaboratively together for public education for our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimberly. Our next two speakers are Fred Bourgoin and Chris Weidenbach. And those are our last two speakers too as well.
Good morning, board members. I'm glad to see that you actually get up in the morning. We only see you at night, so it's nice to see you before 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm a little bit concerned about what's being said today and what has been published recently, in the sense that we're getting very, very personal in attacks. And this is not going to resolve anything. It's easy to make a personal attack against someone. It's easy to claim something against someone. It's easy to blame one person for something. This is not going to resolve any of our problems. And we have problems, yes. If you think about the last few months, in less than a year, we have lost all four college presidents in a matter of months. We've lost an associate vice chancellor of research. We've lost a vice chancellor a little bit before that. Now, I'm not saying that all of them left for the same reason. That would be a generalization. But the sheer volume of high-level administrators leaving is a symptom. We can't ignore that. As to issues of racism, yes, there is racism in the district. There is no question about that. The way it's being characterized, I believe, is a bit unfair, in the sense that there's claim that there's disrespect for all African-American administrators. That's clearly not the case. We have many examples of support being given to African-American administrators at the colleges, at the district. We might not always agree with them. That's okay. That's okay. That's part of the process. But we do support the vast majority of them because we, at least as a Senate, I'm just the outgoing Senate president at Laney. We work with administrators. We try. We support them when we can. We disagree, and that's okay. Now, to say that the DAS, the District Academic Senate, is in line with the union is also a mischaracterization. I can assure you, as having been a member of DAS for the last 2 years, that there are plenty of disagreements between the Senate and the union. Sometimes our goals align, mostly because we're looking out for students, but plenty of times we disagree. So that's a mischaracterization. Generalizations are easy to make, just like claims and personal attacks. What I see is a very diverse board, perhaps the most diverse board we've ever had at this district, a board that does its job. And again, Senates might disagree with the board. That happens. There's a process for that. We follow that process. And it works sometimes, not always, of course, but that's okay. The board is doing its job. And their job is, if something is not working, something that they are ultimately responsible for, then they take action. If this is against some people's wishes, then I'm sorry, but that is the process. The board is doing its job, is very diverse, it's taking care of business, it's looking at budgets, it's looking at what's happening to our stability. Yes, stability. We lost 4 presidents, remember? That is not stability. Thank you.
Thank you, Fred. Our last speaker for the day is Chris Weidenbach.
Madam Vice Chair, I do not see him in the waiting room. He was in there, but let's see here. Oh, here he is. Hi.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm on the phone. It was confusing trying to get to this meeting, so I tried Zoom and then I thought it wasn't working. Anyway, good morning, everyone. I'm Chris Weidenbach. I've been co-chair and now solo chair of the English department at Laney College for the past 6 or 7 years. I was professional development chair for 4 years. and I'm now serving as the faculty accreditation coordinator. Since we're a public institution, it's I was thinking how there's a separation of church and state that makes it tricky to talk about religion, but I'm going to tempt the faith and talk about my religion today. I'm a person of faith in my family life, my neighborhood, my city, my state, my nation, and as a world citizen. And in my job, I practice my religion with passion and ethical integrity. I sometimes make mistakes, and when I do, I face the music. I own up to them. I try to improve. I'm lucky to work in public education, where my religion, shared governance, is literally the rule under California State Assembly Bill 1725. As a faculty educator, the 10+1 is like my 10 Commandments tablet. We're living in a time where we can't have authoritarianism. This is no time for anything but intense democracy. It's a time for collaboration. It's a time for following the rules that we build together. And I'm very proud to work in education, public education, where this is written into the actual activities, processes, policies, all the things that make a college and that make a district a district. As I'm working on the self-evaluation report for our upcoming accreditation review, I'm reminded, standard by standard, how following clear policies, engaging in planning collaboratively, implementing the plans like we say we're going to do, and publishing documentation of what goes on. They're sometimes tedious, methodical, slow, even boring processes, but they build us brick by brick. When we build it together, we are sharing power and sharing responsibility. That's what makes life work. We have to humbly submit ourselves to evaluation and critique. And it's a constant process to learn how to engage in those with care, but also like with teeth, so that we're not just going through the motions, but we're actually doing something. I'm engaged in the Faculty Senate at Laney, and I have been for 10 years. When I think of that room right now, it kind of looks like the United Nations. I want everyone to know who hasn't been in that room. I think of the professional development plenary sessions, and I took down a picture because unfortunately there was a great picture of our plenary audience, and what an awesome array of. Excuse me.
Thank you, Mr. Weidenbach. Your 3 minutes.
Could I have just one more brief moment to wrap up?
Yes. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say I feel like there's a narrative that has been built that is largely, I don't know, it's not maybe totally inaccurate, but there's something really missing, which is our board has been doing the shared governance thing. I think in the current situation, we need to respect that there's an administrative policy. I believe it's number 7110. That's about the board approving management hires.
Mr.
Hiring
Wright.
is such an important thing at our colleges that we have to have the best people, and we count on the board.
I want to respect all the time. I'm sorry. So, board clerk.
Yes.
Thank you for the extra time. Thank you for the extra time, and good luck to us all. Bye-bye.
Do we have Cynthia Adams or Cheryl Ward in the waiting room or in the meeting? If they are, you can actually unmute yourself. If you press *6, you can unmute yourself on your phone if you are participating through phone. Madam Vice Chair, I do not see any other public speakers.
Okay. With that then, Madam President, that ceases or ends our public forum.
Thank you for that. So we will prepare to move into closed session. I want to thank all of the speakers who came out this Saturday morning to share their thoughts and comments. Madam Clerk.
Thank you. I will go ahead and remove all of the speakers and those who were observing the meeting. I'll go ahead and just remove them from the meeting right now.
So let's go ahead as a point of order. Let's go ahead and give Madam Clerk a few minutes to go ahead and do that. We'll reconvene closed session in about 2 minutes.